Welcome to the Echo Tips podcast. Oh boy.
Here's a sneak peek into what we're going to cover in this week's episode of the Echo Tips podcast. Summarize my 3 most recent emails I've received. Just kind of who they came from, the subject, and maybe just a little bit about the contents of the email. Well, hello, and welcome to the Echo Tips podcast. It's good to have you with us this week, and we have some exciting news.
Fancy that.
But that is, there's going to be an Amazon event dealing with devices later here in the month of February. So we're going to talk about that, a little news clip from the Daily Tech News Show. We're going to pontificate upon what may be happening, what has happened, what has been delayed. And if we have time to, we might even do a little segment where I kind of played with Gemini on my phone, which may give us a little idea, maybe some various nifty ideas for what could be coming to the A-Lady next, as these products compete with each other with the new AI-infused goodness into them, what is really possible. And this I felt was kind of cool on Gemini. Hopefully we'll have time to share that in the segment today, but definitely I wanted you all to hear about the news that's coming later this month. Well, before we get too far along here, I'd like to once again say welcome to our returning listeners and also welcome to our new listeners as well. Now, you new listeners may be wondering what this show is all about, especially if you're very first listening to our show, and we'd like to welcome you to the Echo Tips podcast. I am the host. My name is David Ward. I'm a technology instructor, and I kind of specialize in assistive technology in particular, and that you'll find our show, the Echo Tips podcast, is a weekly show, now in its 7th season. That's 52 episodes a year, so we have a back catalog of over 330-some episodes. And if you're trying to maybe solve a particular problem, I would encourage you to go check out our back catalog of episodes, and you may find something in particular very useful there that may answer that question of whatever you're trying to deal with. Now, with that in mind, our show and that back catalog deal with everything related to our Amazon Echoes and A-Lady devices. We deal with home automation, AI betas, we deal with all sorts of different application scenarios, whether it be for young ones, parents, caregivers, seniors, playing audio, playing with games, skills, media, just so many different things. So by all means, like I said, you'll find a lot of information in our back catalog, and at the tail end of the show, we'll mention some ways you can find that information, a blog listing that has all of those on it. But before we get too deep in the weeds here, we're going to go to a brief message about our show. As I said, we're going to be talking about recent announcements and what we can think is going to be happening here later in February, what those announcements may entail. But before we go into that in any detail, like I said, we're going to go to a brief message about our show, and then we will be, as always, right back. Well, hello. Again, it is me. That's right. Often we have somebody else reading or this segment where we talk about what this program is underwritten by and supported by. We do certainly support over the years how the podcast got started, all the way back in its 7th season from the Roanoke Foundation, now known as the Community Foundation serving Southwestern Virginia, to support from back then, New Vision was its own nonprofit, then later merged into Goodwill, and Goodwill supported the program, and the Virginia Board for the Blind's financial support at times to help continue the podcast. But now the property is solely owned by yours truly, and we may be looking for sponsorship opportunities here in the future, or if you have ideas, we're always welcome to hear those things. But I still wanted to have kind of a little call to action in here so that our listeners could be directed to different things. I will mention some of our listeners are part of this community that is the community connected with the blind and vision impaired. And I do another podcast called Next Gen Access, where we just released our 7th episode, which is kind of a highlight reel of everything from season 1, episodes 1 through 6, about a variety of assistive technologies that are used by the blind and vision impaired. And in that show, we kind of nuggetize different things from Zoom Text, JAWS, NVDA, different software packages, and we really talk about what we would like to see next with round panel tables. Get that right. Panelists, part of a round table that we discuss what we would like to see next, and I think you might really enjoy that. So that's Next Gen Access, the podcast. But I will just conclude with this idea. If you have a nonprofit in your own community that's doing good work, consider giving them a few dollars, maybe call them up on the phone, see if they need some elbow grease, need some work or assistance, some volunteers. And or if you don't have one in mind, here's one that I especially appreciate, and that is Wikimedia Foundation, which are the owners of Wikipedia, wikipedia.org, the online encyclopedia. And you can go to donate.wikimedia.org to send them a few dollars their way. All right, well, that's all I had to highlight here, and now we'll get right back to our show. Alrighty then. So welcome back, everybody, to this episode. So it's been exciting. It's been a long haul. Before I just, ramble on here about what's happened and my thinking upon it, we're going to go to a segment from the Daily Tech News Show, which briefly talked about this announcement from Amazon and invites that were sent out to different members of the press about this event that's going to be taking place in February. And so we'll go to that segment now.
Microsoft announced its Build conference will run from May 19th to May 22nd in Seattle. The company did not hint at what it might announce, but you could safely expect some new AI announcements, possibly some Surface hardware too. We'll see. Former Microsoft employee Panos Panay will host an announcement by Amazon in New York City on February 26th. He now leads Amazon's devices and services team, so that sounds like we might get that updated voice assistant that everybody has been hoping for if you try to use her right now.
Well, that was a pretty awesome announcement there. And so that's something we're looking forward to on February the 26th. And it's been a long time coming. You guys might recall that the original proposal from the former chief of over those device section before Panos Panay back in September 2023, announced AI-infused goodness into the A-Lady of the future. And we were hoping to see that this past fall, 2024, and it never happened. And we covered at that time some different articles from Reuters and others that talked about what happened. Basically, Amazon's internal AI development team and their products had really kind of fallen flat on their face and weren't going to achieve really the aims that they had intended. And so that's where Anthropic's independent Claude AI came in, and Amazon has a very tight relationship with them, and that's going to be infused, as we suspect, into the AI A-Lady of the future, this new remarkable A-Lady. So I almost said her name because I didn't want to trigger your guys' echo at home. But anywho, so very exciting, and of course we'll be covering some of that. I even looked in my inbox to see if I got an invite, but I didn't see anything. But we'll definitely be covering that as those announcements come out, just as we have over the last 7 seasons. When there's new hardware, equipment, and announcements, we cover those for you guys to keep you up to date. I will mention that I did dig through a lot of articles online to do the work for you guys about Panos Panay, about some of the recent PC World and other articles, Reuters, which they quoted a lot of, and other outlets talked a lot about what this announcement could mean and what it, the suspected idea that we would be charged for this. And most of the articles just kind of regurgitated their same, lackluster, uninformed, unresearched information from this past fall, a regurgitation of sorts. PC World seemed to do actually some legwork and quoted various different Reuters articles, which seemed to have several different new ideas. One which is that while a paid model will likely be occurring at some point, it looks like they're going to allow us to potentially use the smarter A-Lady for free for a while. So I think that kind of fits a lot of things that Amazon does and may help the market dip its toes into these things. And so that's kind of interesting. I'll put links to those articles in the show notes, and so you can go check those out as well. But just to kind of recap, there is a huge cost next to running AI, and which is true of using AI on your phone or on your computer. A lot of services are charging $10 to $20. That's not unheard of, and so, how is that cost going to be covered with Amazon? We've covered this in the past, that even their current A-Lady devices are often a loss leader for them. They're losing money on the back end with this because just the resources and the servers and different things like that. So they undoubtedly want to recuperate some of that. Now, a little more about Panos Panay. I did do some research on him, former 19 years, I believe, at Microsoft. Thurrott.com. Paul Thurrott has some really interesting track record. I trust Paul from the Windows Weekly podcast about Panos Panay. And, Microsoft has its ups and downs, and I had been conflating him with Steven Sinosky a little bit, which was a real power play over there and pushed different things. But Panos was there with the Surface Innovations. That is their own product line of tablets with Windows on it and different devices like that. I imagine the laptop as well. They did have one laptop for a while. And while those were generally interesting devices, and I think what a lot of people take away from that is maybe a new polished, refined Amazon Echo, more spiffy fins, more of a premium feel model. And I think there's a good chance you probably will see that in the Kindle devices and other devices that he oversees at Amazon. Maybe the cameras, security cameras, and different other devices, maybe TVs and things too, if he's connected with some of that. I don't know about the A-Lady devices. They have never really felt super, super cheap to me. They seem to have kept a fairly, I don't feel like super uber premium either, like the first gen Echo was. That was super premium. You guys might not recall, but I think that was roughly $179 when it was first released. It was made from almost like an aluminum metal body, just a really expensive, really high quality speakers, and that sucker could still put out some pretty amazing audio. The Pringle can shaped device that I often refer to. But, I don't know, maybe we will see that, some innovations. I really hope not. Now, he also played a part in overseeing Windows and Windows 365, which was a cloud service, so he did have his fingers into software, and I believe Windows 11 as well. To be fair, Windows 11 is just a different shade of lipstick of Windows 10, so I don't really think that's a huge innovation. I'd have to look back and see if he was there at the core, if he had that oversight when Windows 10 launched. In my mind, that would be a bigger innovation. Well, to be fair, all he did is he changed the start menu. I mean, I just brought back the start menu. I don't feel like there was a lot going on there. And as a product line, the Surface line, although polished, let's use that word, polished, I really feel like is a product line that never made any sense and never went anywhere, and I don't think really informed the market at all, and just made everybody else angry at Dell and HP and everywhere else, Lenovo. So Microsoft dipping their toes into what those actually their business partners were supposed to be doing. So I don't really know. I think it's, Thurrott, and reading some different articles, Panos Panay is a polarizing influence, it seems. So I don't know if this is going to be for our betterment or not. And I guess we're going to find out on the 26th. I think the trick is the real software. In my mind, the hardware is not so much a concern, although if we start to move co-pilot style, what's the right word I'm looking for? I think tensor chips is the right word I'm looking for. Basically AI chips on board. Well, that could obviously be a huge thing and a huge kind of shift, maybe a distributed computing model or something like that, or local processing. That could be very interesting if those are brought to the Echo devices. Maybe to bring Amazon's costs down, but also maybe to increase or decrease, I should say, latency and interactivity with our Echo devices. In other words, a faster response because it's responding right here and there. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. I think if it was anybody other than Panos Panay, I think we might have a much more solid view of it, but nobody has quite achieved this yet. And that's the one thing I do dislike about many of the articles that I've read online, apart from the PC World article, which I felt like took a really good stance, and some of the Reuters things they were quoting. A lot of them are like, oh, they're so behind, and Siri and Google is so much farther ahead. No, they're not. No, they're not. They've announced stuff, but where is it? It isn't there, all right? And the few things that have happened have been done very badly. So, I mean, Siri AI, I don't even know if it's really a thing. I think it was just starting to roll out here in the last, maybe we're getting something. Up until now, the AI has been mostly just rolling out on device to show you, summaries of your emails and things like that. So we haven't really seen that. Now, Gemini on the Google competing products to the Echoes, which would be the Google Nest Hub and the Google Nest Mini. I got to get these names right. And I have one sitting right here in front of me. That I think is interesting. And the Google Assistant. But even that I've researched, and you have to have a specific model, and you have to go through like a beta enrollment almost, and it's a whole thing. It's not like it's just there. And even on my phone, I had to jump through some hoops to kind of get some things to make it work. So, and even in its live mode, which is like its conversational mode, which has been demoed on stage, doesn't have access to hardly any of these core things. Like I tried to do home automation stuff, it wouldn't work. Sorry, it's not here yet. And then I tried to do, hey, can you read my Gmail? It couldn't work there. So, I mean, I think they're all relatively at the same points. If anything, Amazon is set on the 26th. If they announce something and something is like software is released the next week on a lot of the backlog of Echoes, they're going to blow everybody out of the water potentially if they do it right. And that's very interesting. Anyway, so like I pontificated about this enough, but I did find this interesting, and I hope our A-ladies of the future can do this. I'm sorry I bumped the microphone there, guys. And I have my iPhone with me, and I have the Gemini app on it. Now in there is extensions, and I connected it to my my Google Workspace account, or whatever we call that these days. And so it has access to my Gmail and my documents. Now that's very kind of interesting. So then I can talk to the assistant and ask it questions about that. So let me give you an example here real quick. Summarize my 3 most recent emails I've received. Just kind of who they came from, the subject, and maybe just a little bit about the contents of the email. And the date would be pretty important in time.
Your 3 most recent
Mail
emails
item.
are as follows. Era payment confirmation from support@era.io on February 12, 2025 at 11:26 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This email confirms your recent payment of $20 for your Era service. Reminder. Many Faces of BARD, February 13th from Rory, Tamara Trur at lock.gov on February 11th, 2025 at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This email is a reminder about the upcoming Many Faces of BARD program, which will be an open forum to answer questions about BARD. ACB launches Accessibility and Training Services Program from American Council of the Blind Sharon at americancounciloftheblind.ccsend.com on February 12, 2025 at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This email announces the launch of ACB's Accessibility and Training Services Program, which is designed to promote equal access and greater inclusion for people who are blind or have low vision.
Okay, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of how powerful that is. And sorry if there was a little clicking and different things in there. I was trying to run that in a verbal mode while I had kind of the screen reader still on for accessing some of the buttons and stuff. But anyway, you guys get the idea. So that is super kind of cool. My ability to just ask it about my email and then it just pull that fax out. So that would be interesting. It makes us think about where the Amazon's announcement could be, how it could utilize and interact with that kind of information, or home automation and many things like that. The home automation things would be something they're really beating the drum about in the media. But, we haven't really seen anybody get there quite yet. So I'm really questioning whether that's going to happen or not. They certainly could pour a lot of resources in that to make that a thing. But anywho, well, that will sum things up. I've been rambling on long enough. We'll find out on the 26th, but it's certainly exciting, right? It's very exciting. So we've been waiting for this for at least a couple of months now. We were hoping to hear about it in the fall, but now it's coming. All right. Well, if you'd like to find out more about the podcast, you're welcome to look up, like I said, the back catalog of all our over 330 episodes. You can go to CertDoctor, CertDoctor.com. Click on the blog, and you should find a relatively recent blog entry with a listing of all those 300 plus some episodes. And that's a super easy way to maybe like go back and solve a problem or find out about a very specific thing. And by all means, if you have thoughts or feedback about a future episode, or maybe you feel like I need to revisit one of those old things now that new features are maybe available or something like that, by all means, I would love to hear from you guys. Or if you just want to shoot me a thumbs up or a kudos, that's cool too. At Echo Tips Podcast, that's all wedged together, no spaces or dashes, Echo Tips Podcast at same domain, CertDoctor, CertDoctor.com. And until next time, it's time to, well, I guess you don't have to turn the ears of your Echo back on because I didn't really say her name through the whole show. Although, probably in the DTNS episode, they probably did. So I'm sorry for that if I did, they did trigger that. By the way, the link to that show, and that's episode 4950, will be in the show notes as well if you want to go back and check out that whole episode. That was the DTNS Briefing episode for 4950, since he's got a headline show and a live show. So I want to make sure which of the three shows it really was. But anyway, until next time, turn those ears on. If you do have them off, practice some of the many things you've learned. I'm David Ward, and we do thank you for listening.